D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds, and welcome to my week in review, where I come to you every Sunday with 3 entertainment stories that I personally find interesting, and then we discuss them down below. Now, also down below, you can find the articles that I read to bring you this video, and you can read them for yourself, or you can just watch this video, or I'm going to break them all down for you. Before I get started, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we just keep getting shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. All right, so now that we got that business out of the way, why don't we go ahead and get started on these 3 stories. So for my first story this week, all right, you guys. So it looks like we've got another casting for the show Lanterns on Max or HBO. I'm not quite sure which ones it's going to. And I'm quite excited about this only because I love this actress. And her name is Kelly Macdonald. And now she's the woman on screen right there. And I'm going to throw up pictures as we go along. But if you may remember, she is the voice of Merida. And she's also was mostly known for being in Boardwalk Empire. She was one of the main leads on that, the female lead. She did a fantastic job. Love her so much. She also played a small role as the Grey Lady in the Harry Potter, the last movie that she was in, and she did a great job. I love her accent. It's so Scottish and thick. I don't know how to do the Scottish accent. Anyways, you can barely hear what those people are saying. Okay, so now, of course, as soon as she was cast, my immediate reaction was, oh, she's Carol Ferris, aka Star Sapphire. And I think that this would be a great idea, you know, because what's his face is playing Hal Jordan, and he's older. Kyle Chandler. He's an older guy. He's like in his 50s or whatnot, maybe late 40s. I can't remember off the top of my head. It doesn't matter. And she's an older actress. And I think that it's appropriate for them to be, because they've had a love interest, you know, in the comic books for so long, that I think that this would be great for, you know, to be age appropriate, you know, like they had met way back in the past, had a fling, and then maybe things didn't work out, you know, whatnot. And she stayed on Earth. But now she's, you know, but she's still a Star Sapphire. Who knows? I don't know exactly what's going to go down, but they did say that the character she is playing is Sheriff Carey. Now, if you guys know, and then the description of her was a no-nonsense woman devoted to her family and town, and that she will be a love interest for Hal Jordan. But my whole thing is this. What if she is Carol Ferris and the name Sheriff Carey is just the name that they've given her on the call sheet to kind of throw us all off? And she really is Carol Ferris. Like, she's Sheriff Ferris, Carol Ferris. And she's still a Star Sapphire. She just doesn't use her ring. I think that would be a great idea. And I think that it would just be fantastic. I think that this show is really, in my personal opinion, is really coming together. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, out of everything that was announced by James Gunn for Phase 1, Gods and Monsters, this was the project that I was looking the most forward to. I think that the Green Lanterns are very interesting. I love the different, you know, spectrums of the Lantern cores and I think that they can pull from each one of those. Maybe not all of them on this show, but I do think that this is just great. Also, like I said before, Kelly Macdonald is a fantastic actress, and I'm happy to see her on this show. And of course, Aaron Pierre will be playing Jon Stewart. And I think that this is a great addition to the show in terms of talent. But as I've said before, my biggest concern is some of the writers. Now, if you remember, we've got the writer / showrunner from Ozark, and you know, an Ozark, I really loved that show. I think that he's really great. His name is Chris Mundy. I just think he's just fantastic. You know, I think he's really talented, and I loved Ozark from front to end. You know, and I won't say anything bad about that show because I just loved it so much. Now, the 2 writers that do bother me very much, and I have a lot of questions, is the first one is Damon Lindelof. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again and everything, but Damon Lindelof, I'm sorry. I love Leftovers. I will always love Leftovers. But Watchmen was pure shit. I didn't like that show. I thought it was terrible. I thought they really bastardized the comic books as a sequel. And I really think that Damon Lindelof didn't understand, Watchmen. He didn't understand what it was going for. He just wanted to make woke men. And it was just complete nonsense. I mean, that's the time that we were in. There was no pushback. Everybody just like, sucked its proverbial balls and, didn't take time to see what was going on, but now, I think some people see what it was for. Plus he got kicked off of a Star Wars movie and I'm just like, why did you get kicked off if they didn't like you there? You know what I'm saying? And I really do. I do have some questions about him in terms of his writing. And then the last one is Tom King. Now, if you know anything about Tom King and you've heard me on my channel before, I do not like Tom King as a writer. Sure, his Visions comic book was good. I did enjoy it. And Mr. Miracle, even though really, it was really like all like psychological and shit. Like I've got dad issues, which is a lot. I think Tom King has father issues, hardcore. Like he's got some. So I don't know how his childhood was. It was probably fucked up because he just, when it comes to daddy issues, that guy just writes pure shit. So, maybe he should, do some self-reflection. So I think that Tom King, sure, he's a good story guy. Maybe he created the story for this because I do think that sometimes he comes up with some really good ideas, they start out great, but his ending always flops in my opinion. His ending is when his Batman run, and I think he's on Batman now again, his Batman run, and he really, really pissed me off when he was going to have Selena Kyle and Batman and Bruce Wayne get married, and then they didn't. I think he really lost a lot of the fan base when he did that, when he pulled that bullshit. Because I was like, you've got to be kidding me with this nonsense. So those two are, I do have my worries. But at the same time, I think that James Gunn, I have trusted him this far. And I think that he'll do a good job in terms of like really maybe reeling these people in. I'm curious to see where they go with this story. If they do Darkest Night or Blackest Night. And I just, I'm excited for this show. I really am. And hopefully it turns out well. All right, you guys. So that was my first story of the week. So for my second story of the week. All right, you guys. So like my last story, I have another casting news for the show Lanterns on Max coming from Warner Brothers. So this one is Garret Dillahunt, sorry. And I don't know if you know who this actor is. That's fine if you don't, not that big a deal. But he's been recently, it said in the Deadline article that I'll reference and everything. But it said, and that link will be in the description down below, like I said before. He's in a new play called Shit Meat Fan. I don't know what that means. I haven't seen this play. I don't know. But he was also a recurring role on the new show High Potential. And that was on ABC. And then he's also on Peacock's show Hysteria, which I haven't seen either one of those shows, but hopefully he's good in that show. So now here's the question of who is he playing? Now, I personally thought, because this guy plays what I think could be a possible villain, but of course we won't know that until, and if he does, it'll be like a reveal kind of thing. So, but who is he playing? So he is playing a modern cowboy named William McCone, a self-righteous, conspiracy-minded man who masks his ruthless ambition behind a charming and calculated facade. Now, I personally thought this was interesting because that's the best, character for a DC villain, and it could be like pretty much anybody or whatnot. I think that what they're going to do is, and I've said this before, I think that they're going to make Hal Jordan the bad guy in this show, which I personally don't care for that. They did that and I've said this before also. They said that they did that in the newest animated show, a movie for Green Lantern with DC and everything. And I just personally did not care for that. Now, Garret Dillahunt is going to be is going to be playing, a human or whatnot. And this story of this show is just there's a murder that takes place on Earth, and Hal Jordan and John Stewart come to Earth to solve it because this is their sector. Earth is in their sector. So they come to solve it. Now, I personally think it's going to be another Green Lantern. You know, I think that a lantern from the Green Lantern Corps is going to die here on Earth, be killed, and they're going to be like, well, we're Green Lanterns, we need to solve it. Now, I have also heard from like scoopers and such that that by the end of this show, what happens in this show is going to lead to the rest of the DCU. Like this is going to open up the goings on of the DCU, which will be very interesting to see what happens there. I know we're getting the Superman movie, and I don't know when this is coming out compared to that, but I'm pretty much sure the Superman movie is the first movie coming out. So I think that Garret Dillahunt is a great addition. Now, he joins, who I just recently said joins Kelly Macdonald, and she plays Sheriff Kelly. Although, like I said before, I do think that she is going to be. I think for some reason I just think she's Carol Ferris, which I'm down with that. I'm down with the sickness. But he also joins Kyle Chandler, who is going to be Hal Jordan on the show. And he's also Aaron Pierre, who is going to be Jon Stewart. And I think that so far, you know, I've seen people say like they haven't been getting, the prestige casting in terms of this show. But I think that the people that they've cast in the show so far are really good. I mean, Kyle Chandler, I loved him on that Friday Night Lights show. And, and he was, and he's been good in everything that I've seen him. I can't think of anything else. Oh, well, Game Night. I loved him in Game Night and everything. And all the rest of these people like that, Aaron Pierre guy, I just watched that Rebel Ridge. Go watch that. He's so good at that. So Garret Dillahunt, I can't think of anything else that he's been in off the top of my head, but he's like, you look at his face and I've seen him before. I've seen him. I also think maybe he could be Parallax, just, he's hiding it kind of thing. Who knows? I don't know what they could do with him, but something just tells me he's a baddie. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see where that goes from here. But again, I do think that this is good casting. I think the show is really coming together, and I personally am enjoying where we're headed with this. And I mean, you can read the article for yourself, but it really doesn't have anything to, add to what I've just said, except for the fact that they told you what character he's going to play, the description of it, and then they told you he had joined the cast. So again, I'm really interested in this show. I'm quite excited about it. As I said before, I'll say it again. Out of everything that was announced with the Gods and Monsters Phase 1 or Part 1 of Phase 1, I don't know, all that stuff, this show, Lanterns, was the thing I was most excited to see. I'm still excited to see it. I'm just very curious to what's the going ons and where it ends, and if that's true, that what happens by the end of this, the murder and then the solving of the murder, if that leads to an overall arc of the DCU, and I think that if it does happen that way, I think that James Gunn, is very, very smart. And I've always liked James Gunn. I love everything that he's ever done. So we'll see how this pulls off and see if Garret Dillahunt is, just a human, just a normal human, or if he's something different, All right, you guys. So that was my second story of the week. So for my third and final story this week. All right, you guys. So I wanted to talk about this story. It's a smaller story, but I really wanted to talk about it because earlier this week, Robert Zemeckis, he had come out, and now, if you haven't seen 1988's Who Framed Roger Rabbit, stop what you're doing right now and go watch it. It's a fantastic movie. I love this movie so much. I love it with every fiber of my being. I loved it when I was a kid, and Jessica Rabbit was my favorite character on this movie. I thought she was great. I mean, yeah, she had big hooties, but that wasn't why I loved her so much. I thought she was just a great character. But I love this movie. I loved the mixture of real life people and animated characters. I thought it was just so great and everything, and it was just perfect in my opinion. And so the original concept for Roger Rabbit was this: it's a down on his luck private eye, Eddie Valiant, which played by Bob Hopkins. So good. I love Bob Hopkins. God rest in peace and everything. Gets hired by a cartoon producer, R.K. Maroon, to investigate an adultery scandal involving Jessica Rabbit. Now, this is what the movie is about: the sultry wife of Maroon's biggest star, Roger Rabbit. But when Marvin Acme, Jessica's alleged paramour and the owner of Toontown, is found murdered, the villainous Judge Doom vows to catch and destroy Roger. I always thought that they could do a sequel. So while being interviewed this week on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Robert Zemeckis, who was the director of the first movie, he was asked about a potential follow-up. And here, this is what he said. He said, there's a good script for a sequel at Disney, but here's the thing. The current Disney would never make Roger Rabbit today. They can't make a movie with Jessica in it. And that really does bother me that Disney, out of all the stuff that they've done, out of all of the garbage that they have put out and all the messaging they've done, they can't put a character, a female character with big voluptuous tracts of land. You know what I'm saying? And I just go, you've got to be kidding me with that bullshit. So then he, added, because he had, he had they asked him, and he had said that the script had been penned, and it's already done. It's already good to go. And it's been penned by the original Roger Rabbit writers, which are Peter S. Seaman. I bet he got made fun of so much. Feel bad for him. And Jeffrey Price. And he said, it isn't ever going to see the light of day. As good as it is, I mean, look at what they did to Jessica at the theme park. They trusted her up in a trench coat, and that's so true. And I'm throwing up a picture of that right now, how they have her in the theme park. And I just go like, what are little girls going to see that and be all like, oh, I have hooties and everything? No, it's totally natural. And as my mother would say, the human body is perfect the way God made it. So I don't understand what they're going to do. So he said, he went on and explained how he was able to get the first movie greenlit, way back in the day. And he said, we were able to make it right at the time when Disney was ready to rebuild itself. He said, we were there when that new regime came in and they were full of energy and they wanted to do it. I kept saying, and I sincerely say this, I do believe this. I'm making Roger Rabbit the way I believe Walt Disney would have made it. The reason I say that is because Walt Disney never made any of his movies for children. He always made them for adults. And that's what I decided to do with Roger Rabbit. I do think that that's interesting. And I think that, again, I really, and again, with all the messaging and all the crap that Disney has tried to shove down our throats, like they're just like, eat it. And you're like, I'm not hungry and everything. They can't make a sequel to Roger Rabbit. I mean, such nonsense. So, and again, if you haven't seen this movie, it's just fantastic. I absolutely love this movie. And it just really, and I saw someone on Twitter say that, how about you just publish the script for the public viewing, ignoring the whole sexy women are scary bullshit. That shouldn't be a big deal because it's not that big. And imagine a corporate political chaos that would have to be made between David Zaslav and Bob Iger just to get it in full writing phase. I mean, and Robert Zemeckis, he says that the script is very good. And I just don't see why this movie just can't be made. I mean, I would love to see this movie get made. I think it would be fantastic. I think with the nostalgia play, it would work great. And, I mean, you can't make it obviously with Bob Hoskins because he's dead. But I really think that this is great. And I'm so bummed that they're not even going to try to make this sucker, I mean, maybe sometime. I mean, they obviously, Bob Hoskins is dead. They can't make it with him, but we'll see. I don't know, man. All right, you guys. So those are my 3 stories this week. Tell me, what do you guys think about all of this? Tell me, what do you guys think about Kelly Macdonald joining the cast of Lanterns? Do you think this is a good idea, a bad idea? How do you feel about Kelly Macdonald? Do you love her Merida and her sexy accent? I can't do the accent. Anyways, or do you think this is or do you think she's playing Carol Ferris like I do? I think she's playing Carol Ferris for sure. But I love that the Lantern show is coming together with casting, and hopefully they film outside and we can see some outfits and stuff. But we'll see how this comes together and all that stuff. Also, tell me, how do you guys feel about Garret Dillahunt joining the cast of Lanterns? Again, I think this is coming together quite well. I do like this actor. I think he's got a very distinct look, and I can't, again, I said before, I can't think of anything else that he's been in off the top of my head. But of course, I look at him and I'm just like, yeah, I've seen him before, you know? So we'll see how he, and do you think my theory about that he's a bad guy or he's the bad guy in this, do you think that holds up at all or whatnot? Or do you think I'm just being ridiculous? And then finally, tell me, how do you guys think about this Roger Rabbit sequel movie and this whole discussion with Robert Zemeckis? Do you think this is something that could be that could happen today? Like, sit down, get, you know, obviously recast Hoskins' character and make this movie. Do you think and have Jessica Rabbit the way she is, like on this right here, you know, just and stop pretending like Disney is family orientated now. They don't give a shit about families anymore. They put out trash all the time and market and dress it up like it's for the kids. It's not for the kids. It's to indoctrinate. So I'm sorry if my son's seen some Hooties, you know, and gets a big fat boner. I don't care, you know. So you know, and or maybe he like idolizes Jessica Rabbit. He thinks she's fabulous. I don't give a shit. It's fine by me. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw Jessica Rabbit when I was little, and I was like, she's hot and everything. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys this week. Tell me what you guys think about all of this. You can go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on my next week in review. You guys have a good week. Bye.
Hey nerds, if you like this video, go ahead and click that Geek What icon and subscribe. And if you like this video, go ahead and join me every Sunday with my Week in Review.